In this video tutorial, we'll discuss how to set up a RAID array on a Buffalo 4-drive LinkStation or TeraStation NAS device. To set up the RAID configuration, we need to go into the NAS device's web administration. So we can do that by double-clicking on NAS Navigator and finding the IP address, or you can simply type the IP address or host name directly into a web browser. Once NAS Navigator is finished scanning for the device, we can go and right-click on it and press the Open Web Settings button, and it'll actually open up a web page with the URL already inserted into it, so we can log in. The username is admin, and the password by default is password all lowercase. So unless you've changed it, you can type in admin and password to log in. By default, you'll log into the Shared Folders folder setup area. Here we can see the condition of the current RAID array. I don't have anything on it, and it's 800, just under a terabyte. To change the RAID array, we'll have to go to the Systems area and then click on the Storage tab. Now this is for a TeraStation, but the LinkStation configuration for a 4-drive unit is the same, so you can follow those steps as well. Once you click on the Storage tab, it will scan and show you all the disks. These are 4 500 gig disks, and below that it'll show you the RAID array configuration. So by default, this unit's in RAID 6 by default, and in most cases people would run a 4-drive unit in RAID 5. So if we want to change that, actually the first step will be to delete this current RAID 6 array, and to do that we'll click on the Array 1 option. We scroll down, it'll show all the disks that are in the RAID array, and then we can press the Delete RAID array button. Now, I will caution, as will all of the on-screen UIs, that deleting the RAID array will remove all of the data that's on all of those disks that are in the RAID array. So we'll ask you to confirm that. All of your settings, like network settings and host name settings, etc., won't change, but the data on the hard drives, the user data, will. So we do want to make sure that you have a backup of that, or that you don't mind that the data is erased. If it's a brand new unit, there won't be any data on it. So we can press the Apply button, and it will ask us to enter a 4-digit random code just to make sure we didn't slip up and accidentally press the wrong button. Once we press Apply, it will verify that number and then start the RAID array deletion process. This process can take 1 to 2 minutes depending on your configuration, and it is shown with a status indicator like this. Now that the RAID array is deleted, we'll return to the folder setup page automatically, and you'll see that the 4 disks are shown. These are 500 gigabyte disks, and they're individually assigned. So there's actually no RAID array now. So we'll go ahead and need to create a new RAID array, and that's done basically through the same process. We'll need to click on the Systems tab and then the Storage subcategory, and it'll scan for all the disk information again, and we'll be able to create a new array. Now on 4-drive units, you actually have the ability to create multiple arrays, such as 2 RAID 1 arrays that are separate. But if you're going to create one large array, you'll go ahead and click on the Array 1 option, and we'll select which disks we want to use. So it's scanning for those at this moment. And we'll use this pull-down menu to select our RAID mode. So this device supports RAID 0, 1, 5, 10, and 6, with RAID 6 and 10 requiring 4 drives, RAID 5 requiring 3 or more drives, and RAID 1 or 0 requiring 2 or more drives. So it's a popular configuration with 4 disks to run RAID 5, so we'll go ahead and select that, and then we can select which disks we want to include. Upon selecting disk 3, I now have 3 disks, and the Create RAID Array button will go solid. In this case, I want to use all 4 disks, though, so I can select all 4, or if I want, I can just press this to select them all at one time. I'll press Create RAID Array. I'll confirm that I want to create that RAID array across all 4 of those disks. Pressing Apply will move us to the next step, and once again I'll enter the 4-digit random code just to make sure that this is exactly what I wanted to do, and I'll press Apply. It'll verify that number and basically go through a very similar process it did when we deleted the first array. So you'll get a progress window, and it'll add each drive to the RAID array and then automatically finish on its own. Okay, now that the RAID array has been created, we can see that the device now shows a RAID array, one with 3 500 gig drives worth of data, and then a 500 gig drive worth of data spread across as parity information. So we do return back to the folder setup area, and you can see that there's no user shares because we erased all the information. So the very first step that might be popular is to create a first share, maybe a default share directory or something like that. You can go ahead and do that, and it'll assign that onto that array. And basically now you're ready to go with the new RAID array configuration, just like it was out of the box. Now, when you do change a RAID array configuration on a Buffalo NAS device, it will automatically start a RAID synchronization test just to verify the integrity of the RAID array. And that may cause a yellow light to turn on the front of your device. You can monitor the progress of that by going back to the RAID array information area by clicking on System and then clicking on the Storage subcategory tab. And under the RAID array properties, it'll actually report to you the status as checking. And then you can determine how far it is along in the process. So here we see the status is checking. We scroll to the right here, we can see we're just over 0.5% complete and roughly how long it'll take for that scan to complete. While this scan is going, it is completely in the background, and you can continue to use the device and even start backups and transferring files, create shares, and change settings as much as you want, and that'll just run in the background. You may see a minimal performance impact while that scan is occurring. However, when it's done, your performance will return to normal, and the yellow light will go off once it's completed. So that wraps up how to set up a RAID array on a Buffalo 4-drive LinkStation or TeraStation NAS.